Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new. I'm Noelle and this is Historian After Hours. I majored in history in undergrad and I have a master's in Holocaust and genocide studies specifically. And I wanted to make this series on genocide, kind of going into the different definitions of genocide, both scholarly and legal definitions, and also how to study genocide, how not to study genocide, some tips and tricks that have worked for me when I study genocide, and a little bit about potentially mental health and genocide. I think it's important because not only are people traumatized who have experienced genocide, but also those who potentially study genocide, it also can be quite traumatizing. It's a very heavy topic, so we gotta watch out for that. I found this really interesting article about can historians be traumatized by what they study, and I think that would be an interesting thing to cover because it's very important to look out for your own mental health when dealing with these heavy academic topics that are important to study. And this video in particular is going to be on just the legal definition of genocide. We're going to get into some more scholarly definitions of genocide along the way, but this one is just going to be the legal definition. I apologize in advance for not only the noise, if there is any noise, I'm not sure if it's going to come through on the video, but just forewarned, and any of the light inconsistencies because this is a low budget show, lighting and sound cleaning not in the budget because I'm a historian and I'm poor. So here we go. Without any further ado, here is legal definition of genocide. So when dealing with the legal definition of genocide, I have to go back to the Genocide Convention of 1948. So the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, Genocide Convention, was signed on December 9th, 1948 in Paris, France. And as of July 2019, per the UN webpage, it has about 152 parties that have signed this convention and have ratified it. And the convention itself was ratified January 12th, 1951. And this was the first official convention that criminalized the crime of genocide. So within the convention, it outlines the legal definition of genocide, which I'm going to read to you right now. So in Article 2, it says, in the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group, says as such, killing the members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting upon the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction, in whole or in part. This in whole or in part is an important component to this definition. And imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, or forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. So punishable are A, genocide, so committing the crime of genocide. B, conspiracy to commit genocide, so planning the crime of genocide. Direct and public incitement to commit genocide, so calling on others to commit this crime. Attempt to commit genocide, so planning it but failing to actually commit it. And complicity in genocide, so there's two parts of this. So there can be genocide by commission, so you were a part of the crime itself, a part of committing the crime itself, or by omission, so being proven to have been able to stop the crime of genocide, but then not doing so, so your negligence has played a part in the carrying out of the crime. So, and then this definition was then upheld in the International Criminal Court's Rome Statute of 1998, and we're going to talk about that a bit later, because it outlines also other crimes of mass atrocity, so crimes against humanity or war crimes in addition to genocide. So I think it would be interesting to do a video where it compares all three because they're similar but yet different. It'd just be interesting to do a separate video to just compare that all. And so, sorry, I'm going to point out that I'm a historian and not a legal scholar, so legal scholars, please be kind. But it's important for people who study genocide to understand this legal definition because as I've said, other scholars, mainly historians, political scientists, etc., have expanded upon this definition itself. So important to know. I'm sorry, I'm not specifically a legal scholar. Please don't at me. Anyway, we're going to continue. So some takeaways is that there's the two elements. There's the actus reus, the 5 physical acts I've just said, and then the mens rea, so the specific in the mental or moral intent to destroy a group in whole or in part. And then, as I understand it, it has this dolus specialis where not only do you have to prove that someone has committed the 5 physical acts of genocide, but then you have to prove that with this mens rea, they committed these 5 acts with the goal of destroying in whole or in part through the act that you're trying to prove. Yeah, so again, legal scholars, don't at me. And so then also there are 4 protected social groups within genocide. So that would be national groups, ethnic groups, religious groups, and racial groups. And there's also the component of this destruction in whole or in part that is important to note. And notably, it can also occur during wartime or peacetime. And I'm going to talk about here a little bit of the limits of the legal definition. So we have a narrowness problem where the definition has explicitly specified 4 protected groups. So we've narrowed this down to 4 categories of groups. We have the national, ethnic, racial, or religious groups. However, even though we've specified this, these labels we've assigned to these categories are also they're not very concrete, and they can be quite fluid and interpreted in different ways. So how does one define a national group, an ethnic group, a religious group, or a racial group? It's very hard to do sometimes, and it can be interpreted in different ways, quite fluid. So not only do we have a narrowness problem, but then the groups we've narrowed down to are also quite fluid and broad. And then there's also this measurement problem, where what constitutes group destruction, and also how do we define in whole or in part? So what is this threshold that we have to define? Is it could the extermination of 500 people be enough to then fit this definition? Now, that's not saying that the murder of 500 people is not important and should not be prosecuted, but then does it fit this definition? Some people kind of criticize this way of thinking, and they said like, oh, well, the definition of in whole and part should be very broad, because then you fall into the trap of you can't prosecute genocide because you get caught up in this measurement problem. But it is a legitimate legal concern, or a very it's a limit to this legal definition. So it's stuff that you have to go through case by case to define. So what's that threshold? That's kind of thing. Also, notably, only 4 groups are protected. So notably, persecuting someone for being a member of the LGBTQ community that is not officially included in this legal definition. Targeting groups based on their gender, so either killing men or killing women, killing non-binary folks. That also is notably not included. Political groups are also notably not included in this legal definition. So especially, for instance, during Stalinist Russia, political groups were targeted. Also in the Cambodian genocide, political groups were targeted. And so this officially is not included in legal definition, which then makes it important for then perhaps historians to expand this definition. And it's been some of the arguments for expanding this definition of genocide perhaps outside of the legal sphere and the sphere where we're defining something in order to prosecute. So I think we're going to get into a little bit of the behind the scenes in a different video, but for now, that is all I have for today. I wanted to keep these videos quite short because, again, it is a very technical topic and a very heavy topic, so I wanted to keep them kind of short and sweet and delve into these things. So feel free to engage in the comments. Feel free to maybe point out things I might have missed, because I'm not infallible. I'm always learning, as we all should be learning. You can always change your mind. And let me know. I hope you've enjoyed this. So thank you.